The trade-off wars between labor and industry that began in 1911 are alive and well in the 21st century. Big money interests, with their vast financial resources, continue to create economic and legal obstacles that workers have to struggle against to be fairly compensated for workplace injuries. Workers deserve our protection and assurance that the promises made by industry in the Great Trade-off are honored. The evisceration of the Great Compromise will continue. 100 years later, we are truly at another crossroads in our national approach to workers' compensation. Advocates for injured workers and their families need to leverage our collective resources to ensure that large corporations are prevented from making hard-working Americans second-class citizens dependent on government welfare programs. The price that the victims of the Triangle Shirtwaist Fire paid at the hands of corporate greed and lack of accountability should not be repeated, not now nor ever.
WILG, which was started 20 years ago, was originally intended to bring workers' compensation lawyers who represent injured workers together and get them out of their sense of isolation, because in some states there aren't very many workers' comp attorneys and they're not very in touch with each other a lot of the time, and they certainly don't know a lot of what is happening around the country with workers' compensation. There was an increasing risk of losing many benefits in many states. The state workers' comp systems in a number of states were going downhill.
What's important to know historically is that in 1972, President Nixon appointed a commission on state workers' compensation. It was determined that state workers' compensation laws in general were neither adequate nor equitable. So after this report, there was a significant overhaul in the system for the benefit of the injured worker. However, in the last 15 to 20 years, there has been a shift against the injured worker, with many of the benefits being reduced under the guise of reform, or as we like to call it, deform. WILG is important in that it keeps ahead of the trends and prepares the states on how to address these deforms.
So we formulated the idea of WILG to do a couple of things. One was to have it as an early warning system, which meant that we wanted to make sure that we could get the word to states, especially some of the smaller states that didn't have large organizations, that they were next on the list to be axed by the insurance companies. And we started to do that kind of thing. We started to travel a lot. We started to bring members in from all over the country. And slowly but surely, WILG was starting to be known as the organization that knew something that needed to be known by state workers' comp and federal workers' comp lawyers.
Because it's a mammoth project, and we need to be organized and together to try to help get information about the legal system and do it across the country.
You see, I'm 90 now. I'm over 90. I was raised to serve the law, and the law was to serve the people. And there I was in the middle of it. And I did my job, and I did it well, and I earned the respect of men like you and women like you. When a law decreases the remedy that an injured person has, that law no longer is in accordance with our Constitution. You're depriving him of an important right when you make it the exclusive remedy and only give him 25% of his economic loss.
The history of America has been largely created by the deeds of its working people and their organizations. This contribution has not been confined to raising wages and bettering work conditions. It has been fundamental to almost every effort to extend and strengthen our democracy. William Kahn, labor historian.
The things that I have taken from WILG, there are many intangibles, but one of the greatest things is the number of friendships I've developed over the years, because I'm now going into my 20th year as a member of the organization. But what I had frequently told people in Missouri, where I'm a member of the many state bar organizations and the State Trial Attorney Association, is that I was much more active, much more involved on a federal level with my friends and colleagues in WILG than I ever was on a state basis. Not because I don't enjoy and get along with my friends here, but this particular organization appealed directly to your heart because of what it did, because of its direct impact, and not only being able to just represent a single person, but being able to help effectuate policy change on a national and local level.
And those of us who are active in WILG or just members in WILG regularly have access to just being able to pick up a phone and call our fellow WILG members. And I consider that relationship way beyond professional, very personal. I consider the WILG brothers and sisters my dearest friends.
20 years ago, WILG was founded under the idea that by working together, we could do more for the American workers and their families than we could on our own. Together, we have fought to protect the rights of injured and sick workers, both at a state and federal level. WILG is the hard work, passion, and dedication of you, our members.